Hello and welcome to Text Encounter. My name is Joe. Today I'm playing Scream Aim Fire Pacific, published by Tiny Battle Publishing, designed by Jay Kirkpatrick. This is a new game. It came out in 2022. It is a sequel to the original Scream Aim Fire, which is also available from Tiny Battle Publishing. That game covers the European theater. This one is set in the Pacific, as you might guess by the name. So we have the United States Marine Corps. Let me remove these markers here. And these guys as well. You have the U.S. Marine Corps and the Imperial Japanese Army, maybe the Special Naval Landing Force, basically the defenders of the islands. The game has 5 scenarios covering everything from Tarawa to Iwo Jima to Okinawa and Saipan. This is scenario number 3. Blood, Guts, Glory. It is set in Okinawa. Basically, you have 6 Japanese tanks. They also have 2 artillery units, 3 machine guns. We will soon find out what infantry they'll have to start with. And the Americans have a wide variety of units of their own with which to take on the Japanese. They need to accumulate 60 morale points, and also have 2 veteran units within 2 hexes of the Japanese reinforcement hex, which is this one. If they do that before the end of turn 12, they win. If we get to turn 12 and they have not done that, the Japanese win. So very straightforward. You gain morale points by killing the enemy. The enemy reduces your morale points and gains reserve points by killing you. So the player plays the Americans, the system plays the Japanese. The way this works is we start with the American turn. I'm going to just play. There are other videos available that show kind of the mechanics in a little bit more in depth than I'm going to do. I will try to cover everything so that you understand what's going on. But in general, I'm doing a playthrough. So this is like a play example so you can actually see the game being played. I'll try to play the entire scenario so you can see one whole scenario, and we'll see how it goes. Scenario 1 has been played, I know, by at least two people. I know Wayne Hansen has done it, and so has Hissy Cat. So if you are familiar with their channels, they also have videos on this. I believe they're both available on Board Game Geek as well, so that's an easy place to find them if you're not a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, I would recommend both those channels. They're both good. I subscribe to both of them. I'd also appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this video and or some of the other things I've done. So that's about it for the preamble. Let's get down to the action. So the way we start this is the artillery fires first. So you take 4 dice, you roll them all. If they roll a 6, that's a hit. So this unit, no hits. We do it again for this one. They get 1 hit. Okay, so now to apply the hit, you look for the closest unit. So since they're here, you go this way. It looks like this would be the closest unit. It's a mortar. And a unit hit by artillery gets marked with a panic. So the way damage is measured on the American side is you go from basically nothing, full power, to alert, and then from alert to panic, and then from panic to dead. So for the infantry and the non-tanks, essentially. Tank combat is different, and we'll have tank combat, so you will get to see that. Okay, so after that, we roll to determine what Japanese units are going to start the game infantry-wise. We roll a 4. We look at the table. 4 is 4 Japanese infantry and 3 Japanese veterans, so that's a good roll for them. So I've got the units out here. I'm just going to randomly pull a few. So here's our infantry. The numbers at the top right, if they match the numbers, like this 2 matches this 2, this unit is going to home in on this one. That's kind of the Japanese, bonsai, Bushido kind of code in action as the game models it. So these all have to be placed, and I will place them momentarily. I'm going to pull out 3 veterans as well. And so here are 3 veterans. So we have one who's designed to go after the lieutenant, and then we have two more that if there's a 14 here, they would go after the 14. I don't know if we have one. We'll look at the various units here in a second, but I need to place these guys. So this is quite simple to do. We roll one die. We got a 1, so 1 is in the center. Okay, they're all marked. We roll again. We rolled a 2. A 2 is here. Then we rolled a 3, so we're kind of rolling in sequence here. 5 is here. 4 is here. Now we got 2 left. Another 1. Now you can have 2 units in one hex, so that it's okay to put him here. Now you can't have 3, so if I rolled another 1, it would go in this X, which it did, so he goes here. So this is our Japanese infantry that starts, and this is a very strong force for them. This is going to be a tough fight for the Americans. So we've done artillery, we've done the spot check, which is what this is called. Now we won't have to do another spot check unless they get below five units that include tanks, machine guns, and infantry. You exclude the artillery. So now we roll a certain number of dice, which is determined by the scenario rules. This scenario calls for 7. So I'm going to roll 7 dice, and the numbers on the dice will determine what actions the Marines can take on this turn. Okay, so we got a bunch of 5s, it looks like. We got 3 5s, a 6, a 1, a 2, and a 3. 1s allow you to apply a medic or a resupply. 2 1s would allow you to conduct an assault from an adjacent hex. Not applicable for us here. A 3, a 2 allows you to move or fire. A 3 allows you to move and or fire. So you can move or fire, or move and then fire. Okay. 4s would activate our mortars, and 5s activate our tanks. 2 6s will activate your flamethrower. 1 6 by itself allows you to do what's called covering fire, where 1 unit fires and a unit adjacent to it can move. Okay, so those are our options. We're allowed to modify 1 die by 1 face. So we can go from a 2 to a 1 or a 3, a 3 to a 4 or a 5, etc. like that. So I don't need a 1 because I don't have any resupply needs oh, actually I do. I'm going to keep the 1 now that I think about it, because I can try to move this guy from panicked to alert, and then that would actually free him up for well, that would improve his chances of hitting when he actually fires his mortar. I could move the 2 to a 3, and then I'd get a move and fire, which might be useful for this guy right here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make this a 3. So now I have 2 3s, 3 5s, which will let me activate 3 of my tanks. The 6 I'll use for a covering fire, and the 1 I'm going to use first to attempt to apply a medic here. So you have to the medic counter is here, so you put the medic on the unit. You have to roll a 4, 5, or a 6. So we're hoping to roll high. And we rolled a 5, so that was successful. So the first aid is successful. This becomes alert. So now he's alert, which means he's still not at 100%, but he's back in the fight. You cannot use medics to go from alert back to normal. Once they're panicked, the best they can be is alert. So, but that was successful. So that was our first move. Now we have 2 3s that I can apply, and I think I'm going to use that to try and get this guy, because I'm going to do a move and a fire. So I'll take my veteran here, because veterans are a little bit more powerful than a regular infantry unit. They can move 4. The bottom number is the movement factor. The number above it is their range as far as firing. So he has to be within 3 hexes to shoot at somebody. So we're going to move 4. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and there's a reason why I chose this hex as opposed to, well, this one would have been probably okay as well. So that's his move, and now I can fire. Okay, so the way fire attacks work is you take 1 die for an infantry unit. So we have our, this is our 6. I'm using one of the 3. So I'm going to use this red 3, and I'm going to roll. Now he's a veteran, so we're going to add 1 to his roll, but this guy is in a cover hex because he's in the jungle. So we draw a cover card. Okay, and it says bunker, no fire. Okay, so we actually can't fire at him, which is kind of a bummer. But it is what it is, so that's the end of that attack. Now I also have another 3, so I'm going to do it again with this guy. Yeah, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 with this guy, and he's going to do the same thing. So we draw another cover card, and he gets hard cover +2. So we're going to get a +2 on the roll, which means the only way I kill this guy is if I roll a 6, or hit him rather, because he might not get killed. So we roll our die. We didn't get a 6, so no effect. So if you rolled a 6, then you would pull a damage chit to see what actually happened to the unit. Okay, so we've got 2 units adjacent to this machine gun, but he's still in business here. So now we can move some tanks. We have 3 5s. So tanks can move up to 5, and they can fire, but they can't move and fire. They can only move or fire. And they have 2 types of fire. Regular armor fire against another tank, or like a pillbox, or they have HE, which they can fire against infantry. So I'm going to take this tank, and we can move 5. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because now he's behind these buildings, so this, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these guys will have to move, but one of these tanks is going to be able to, actually more than one of them will be able to shoot at this guy. So, actually, yeah, I think so. One of these tanks will be able to shoot at him. The other ones will not because of cover. So, so that's one of my 5s. For my other tank, maybe I'll come down here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put him here. Okay, so that's 2. Now you're supposed to flip these so you know that they've moved. I mean, it's kind of obvious they've moved because they're not in line with all the other guys right now. So just do like this. That determines that they've moved. I have one tank left I can move. I'm going to move this tank right here. Now tanks can't stack, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we move these 2 tanks up, I'm going to flip them over. And that's that. Now I have a 6, so I can do a cover fire and move. Actually, no. We will have the veteran fire, and we'll move this guy. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. He's actually outside the fire arc of the way the pillboxes work is it's 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. So this is their firing arc. So he's outside their firing arc, which is good because if I can flank him and roll 2 1s, I can then assault him and try to take out that pillbox. So that will end the American order phase. And then after the order phase, we do the reserves check, which doesn't happen on turn 1 or turn 2. It happens on turn 3. So I'm going to flip the turn to the Japanese side. And we'll continue. Now we do the Japanese. Okay, so the first thing the Japanese will do is activate their pillboxes. So this pillbox this pillbox, this pillbox. This one has no shot. This one has a shot here, except it can't fire through the jungle. So no shot. This one, 2, 3, it has a shot at this tank. No, actually, pillboxes cannot fire at a tank. That takes care of the pillboxes. We move on to infantry. Okay, now the way the infantry works is you draw a card for each one. Now, the lieutenant here has a special rule where he is going to move 2 hexes towards the American lieutenant. So he would go like 1, 2. Actually, he seeks cover. So he would go here. He's moving towards the American lieutenant. His mission is to capture the American lieutenant. Okay, so he's a special case. We don't draw a card for him. So we'll start with this guy. You draw an action card. Now, it's based on their status. They have 3 statuses. They can be calm, which is what they are by default, alert, or bonsai. Okay, so they start off calm. So he's calm. We read the blue because that's calm. Move up to 1 hex, fire if you're within range, and change to alert. So we'll move him here on top of the pillbox. It doesn't really matter. He has no shot, so he's going to remain calm. We draw the next card. We'll draw for this guy. Move up to 2 hexes, become alert. So I'm going to go, we'll go 1, 2, moving him towards the Americans, and he becomes alert. So I'll drop an alert on him, like so. We'll go to this guy. I'll go around in a circle and do the middle last. Okay, same thing, move 2 hexes, change to alert. So we'll go 1, 2. Drop an alert. Okay, now we do this guy. No action, so he doesn't move. Now these 2. Move up to 1 hex, or the top one first. Move up to 1 hex, fire if within range. So he moves 1 hex, no shot. Okay, now for this guy. No action. Okay, so that is going to complete the infantry, and now we do the tanks. And the way the tanks work is if they're more than 8 away, 8 or more away from an American tank, they would move 2 hexes. If they're 6 or 7, they can move 1 and fire if they get within range. If they're within 5, then they're within range and they just fire. So looking here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in theory, he can move 1 hex to here, and then you would check line of sight to the middle of this hex from this hex, and it looks like it would be it goes through this hex, and it's not a straight line, so it doesn't go through like the hex side. So I'm going to say he can't actually shoot at him. So he's yeah, so he was here, he moved 1. So now he's here, he can move 1, he'll be here, and then he can move 1 as well. I'm just going to move him up here because you can't stack. I'm going to apply that rule that you can't stack. Even though they started together, I'm going to say that once they start moving, they can't stack. Now down here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, they can move 1, but again, building. So he's going to move 1 here, and he will move, well, that's the closest, so he'll move here. So they all moved, and now that's the end of their turn. Oh, we roll for bonsai. So the way the roll for bonsai works, you roll one die. If you roll a 6, the last American unit to fire, which is this guy, is going to suffer a bonsai attack. And we rolled a 2. So no bonsai attack. And the way a bonsai attack works is you put a bonsai marker on there. You roll, I think it's 4 dice. If the total adds up to 14 or more, the American's eliminated and a Japanese infantry unit is pulled and placed in that hex. If you roll less than 14, then the unit is eliminated, and you would have morale effects based on this stuff as well. So that's going to end turn 1. So I'm going to stop here. We'll do this is just kind of a nice short introduction, short-ish, I guess, introduction. This is probably going to end up being, I would say, at least 3 parts, this video. We would go to turn 2. I would flip all these guys back to their active side, like so. So this is where we will pick up for part 2 shortly. But in the meantime, we're just going to wrap this up. So as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would. And until next time, I am Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. Happy gaming.